Hey, it is an unstoppable day. It's your boy, Terrance, the Unstoppable Coach Leftridge with Unstoppable Coaching Services. And welcome to the Unstoppable Story Show with Terrance Leftridge. We're going to give you an opportunity to come on in. Come on in. We are working with our guest, trying to get her in. And we are, as always, when you're on the trying to be unstoppable, there's something to show you that you can not be stopped. So we're going to continue to work with her, but that'll give you an opportunity to come on in. So let's see who is out there. Also want to test my camera and make sure that you guys are seeing me as well. So if you are out there, just come on and give me some hearts, show me some love. Let me know that you are watching as we get queued up and get our guests connected. Mm-hmm. All right, let's see. Who do we have out there? Let's see. We got one viewer. Who might that be? Let's see who that is. Yolanda's watching. Candy's watching. Hey, Nana, how are you? Hello. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Go on, and if you would, put your name in the feed and let us know where you are chiming in from. And welcome to the Unstoppable Story Show. We've got a fabulous guest for you tonight. I wasn't planning on doing a show tonight, but I met this woman. I heard this woman's story on a number of occasions. She is a co-author in one of my books, and it just warmed my heart to the point that I said, you know what? Bump the fact that I'm about to go on vacation. This story needs to be told. And as usual, the devil is trying to get busy and trying not to let her come through. But we are going to continue to work on that while you guys come on in. Come on, please swipe and share the show. It's going to be fantastic. Definitely. I am working with her behind the scenes. She's in the green room. We put them in the green room waiting for them to come on to the show. And sometimes they get out there and they like all the hors d'oeuvres that's back there, and they like all the good libations that are back there. And then they forget they actually have to come on the show. So we are working it out. Hold on just one second. Thanks, Sandra, for tuning in. Hey, Lady Rochelle, thank you for watching. Come on, swipe and share. Please go in and tell us where you are watching from. Another episode of the Unstoppable Story Show. And this show is going to be, for lack of a better word, it's a hard show to have. And let me just say off of the bat that I am not an expert. I am not trained in this subject matter. I am just someone who wants to give their platform to someone who has gone through this situation. And that's why we are working very hard to see if we can get this young lady on to the show. And as you saw in the title, we are talking about depression and suicide. And we have an unstoppable woman who has dealt with both, but she has overcome. And I'm definitely hoping that we can get her in. Worst case scenarios, if we cannot get her in, then I'm going to have her call on the phone, and then we will do it that way. But we are going to continue to work with this. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Paul Leftridge. Thank you. Thank you, family. Thank you for chiming in. Go ahead and make sure you are sharing this out. You can use the hashtag ReshareNation, and it's going to a great venue on Facebook called the Reshare Nation, and they have thousands of motivational speakers and thought leaders who are sharing their message on a daily basis, of which I am part of that group. So if you would just go ahead and share that out, and we're going to make sure that we share it out to all the places as well, and then we're going to do our best to get our guests on live and in person, either by video stream, or we are going to do it by phone. So come on, just continue to bring it in. And I think I'm going to have her just call me on the phone, and we'll put her on speakerphone, and then she can tell her story that way. Sometimes technology just doesn't want to work the way you want it to work, but we are going to make it do what it do. Hey, Gail, thank you for tuning in. You guys come on in, swipe and share, and we are going to make this happen. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff followed the instructions. He did. Reshare Nation. Thank you. Hey, Lady Rochelle. Thank you. Tanya, thank you for tuning in tonight. Sandra Dukes, you are from Dallas. Welcome, Dallas, Texas. Thank you. Glad to have you guys in the house. Hey, Candy Conda from Las Vegas. She's in the house. So, yeah, you guys just keep on chiming in. What we are going to do is we're going to have this young lady. She's going to call in to us on her phone, and then we will go and do it that way. Let me see. Let's try that. I'm trying to dial her now, get her on the phone, and see if we can take care of it that way. Wow. Okay. Bear with me. It's definitely worthwhile. So hopefully you guys know somebody. Well, let me change that thought. You probably do know somebody in your life, whether it is a relative or whether it is a friend. Let's see what we get here. Rister.
Yes, how are you?
I am fine. Thank you. We're going to try it this way. So what we're going to do, just hold on a second, and I'm going to do a proper introduction, and so that we make sure we have you in the room, and then we will go from there, okay?
Okay, you can see me okay?
I can see you, and now, well, the audience really can't see you this way, but what we're going to do, we're going to use all the technology that I have in front of me. Can you see? If you go to my page on Facebook, well, you're talking to me on the phone, so you probably can't go to Facebook, but we are going to do it this way. We are going to put your picture up on the screen, and then everybody can see you that way. So that's how we're going to do it for right now. And you guys, if you can see her picture on the screen, just give me a thumbs up. Let me know. And we are going to rock and roll that way. You know, we're not going to let technology stop us, because this is the Unstoppable Story Show, and I'm your boy, Mr. Unstoppable. Never going to let that happen. So, Rister, just hold on just 1 second. Rister knows a lot about suicide and depression. She is one of the co-authors of the book, Live Your Best Life, You Only Get One, of which I was a co-author in that book as well. And we launched this book back in April of this year. And this book touched me, just the title touched me when I was given the opportunity to be a part of the book. And I'm sure Rister will tell you in her conversation that the book touched her as well. The thing about it is we all take for granted this one life that we get. We think that it's endless sometimes. We think that we can go on forever. We think that we have time to do whatever it is we want to do. Well, if anything has caught our attention over the past couple of weeks, it's the tragic deaths of two celebrities in different parts of the world, in different ages, different race, different sex, all of those things that make a difference, but then those same things that bring us together. And for many of us, we don't think that the rich and the famous have any problems, that they have any worries. They get up with money. They go to bed with money. They go out and they've got the paparazzi surrounding them. They are given gifts and presents and VIP status and stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And we never, ever think that when the cameras go away and when the paparazzi leaves and when the so-called friends are gone, that they're just individuals just like us with the same hurts, the same pains, the same fears, the same things that they have to get over. And many of them, you've probably heard as these stories have broken over the past couple of weeks, suffered in silence. And they suffered to the point where they just couldn't take it anymore. And they no longer had a reason to live. And tragically and sadly, for their family, for their friends, and for their fans, they're not here anymore. And we all have a loss. Well, our guest tonight, she knows a whole lot about loss. She's lost relationships. She's lost friends. She even was struggling with losing her sight. But God pulled her from the brink of her own attempted suicides because of her own depression and showed her that he had more in store for her. He had more for her to do. He sent her through some tests so that she could have a testimony that she has been sharing in the release of this book, that Live Your Best Life, You Only Get One. She's been sharing across the country and yes, even across the globe. So my friend Rister, she is originally from an island village in Kenya, but she now lives here in the United States in New Jersey. She's a loving mother of two amazing boys, Trevor and Dexter. She has a passion for music. She writes and sings gospel inspirational music, but that's not it. That's not all. She's a motivational speaker and a life coach, and she has a passion for giving back and specifically works with 40 street children living in the streets of Kisii Town, which is in Kenya. She's a native of Kenya, but currently lives in New Jersey. So I want to welcome to the show via telephone my friend, my co-author of Live Your Best Life, You Only Get One, Rister Ratemo. Hey, Rister, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
All right. Now, I'm going to have the audience just check and make sure that they can hear you okay. I know we're doing this from a cell phone since we couldn't get you onto the live stream. So we're going to do our best to make sure that they can hear you. So you guys, if you can just post in the comments if you can hear her clearly, and then we'll just do our best to make the changes. So Rister, how are you this evening?
I'm very fine. I'm blessed. I'm happy.
Good.
I'm full of energy and full of life. I'm okay.
Good. So, I cannot tell your story better than you can tell yours. So let's just start out with the question that I ask every guest on my show. And that question simply is, what do you think of when you hear the word unstoppable?
Unstoppable reminds me that there is a barrier and you need to keep moving, that barrier should not stop you. So that is what I think of when I hear the word unstoppable, that you need to keep moving despite any failure or any barrier that you may face.
Wow, that is a great that you might have. Hold on just 1 second. There we go. Bring you back in. All right. Just some technical difficulties. So you were saying unstoppable is just overcoming any barriers. And you've had a lot of barriers in your life, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So we could talk all day about some of the things that you've had to endure in your life, but we won't do that. Let's specifically talk about our topics tonight. We're talking about depression and we're talking about suicide. And I'm sure you've heard the stories of Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain that's happened over the last couple of weeks, correct?
Yes, I have.
How did those stories affect you in light of what you went through in your own life?
Well, society has put a lot of pressure on us, and the definition of success is totally different from the truth about success. And so this pressure from society pushes people to look for an escape. And usually because of the battle in the mind, then the easiest escape anybody could think of in that moment is to take away their life. And so because I've been through there and I put myself in the mind of them before, a few minutes before they died, and also I know that the thought just doesn't come that day that somebody is gonna die. It is a story that has been built over the years. And I said, I have to share my story so that people can know the truth. And it's not about mental illness when it happens. It is not we just wait for people to die and we'll be like, rest in peace. No, I will not rest in peace. When I will die, knowing that you would have just come and showed me some love and I would have survived. So it's all about our society not understanding really the major roots of suicide.
Wow. So talk to us about suicide from your point of view. You went through a lot of things in your short life, and you talk about in the book for which you have 2 chapters beginning on 158 in the book Live Your Best Life, You Only Get One. You talk about feeling lost from a young age all the way up through your 2 marriages and even as recent as you having your second child. So talk to us about how was depression and suicide affecting your life?
Well, depression really leads to a low self-esteem, and I didn't really know this before, but later I came to learn that we have a very powerful law of the universe, that is the law of attraction. So when these things start happening to somebody, they start having a battle in their mind. And that's when I talk to people, I tell them that we do shower every day to need to understand what the human being is made of. And the human being is made of body, soul, and mind. And the reason we kind of feel empty at the end of it all is because we shower our bodies, but inside our souls are empty and our minds are empty. So for us to work on our bodies and our minds and our souls, we have things that we need to do. Our mind needs to hear positive things being fed to it. I usually say that, when we have news happening, bad things happening around, they call it breaking news. And most of us want to rush and get this breaking news. People are rushing to just watch news and news. And we keep feeding our minds with this breaking news. And, our subconscious mind does not tell the difference between what you saw on TV and what is actually happening to you. So you start attracting negative things. The law of attraction starts to make you attract negative situations, negative people in your life, people cheating you and lying to you that they love you, but they just want to take advantage of you. So we really need to go to the root cause and understand who we are as human beings. So when I went through several losses in my life, the first one being the loss of sight. I was struggling so much with my eyes, and when I went to hospital, they told me I had to get cornea transplant. By that time, there was no technology to really understand what it all meant. It was just scary to know that I had been born with a perfect sight, and now they had to take out my eyes and give me new eyes. So it was so depressing, and I thought, God doesn't love me. Why would I get that kind of disease? And so it all started from there. And I spoiled my mind. I had these negative thoughts, and with time, I lost it into low self-esteem.
So let's stop. Let's cut right there, because you had this rare diagnosis called keratoconus. Say it for me. Keratoconus, and it's an eye deficiency that is a non-inflammatory disorder that causes a characteristic thinning and cone-like steepening of the cornea. So in layman's terms, your cornea was getting smaller. Is that what was going on, and it was affecting your vision?
The normal growth of a cornea is normally in a C shape, but my cornea was growing in a V shape. So because of the V shape, then the light does not go to the islands, and so with time, somebody becomes blind.
Wow. And you were experiencing that at the age of 13 years old, right?
Yes.
And you were still living in Kenya at the time, right?
Yeah, yes.
And this beautiful accent I just love to hear it all the time. But think about that. 13 years old in Africa, the continent of Africa, in Kenya, where there is not the same type of medical advances as there are in the United States. How was that feeling for you at that point, at that time?
Well, I just felt like, I didn't deserve it. It should have been better. I didn't understand what was happening to me. The doctors didn't really explain to me very well. They were just telling me, with time you need cornea transplant, but they really didn't tell me what I was suffering from. So it left me with a lot of questions, and I thought, it's why should I have all these? I couldn't read very well. The kids at school made fun of me. I was bullied and all that stuff. And so I just started feeling that I was not supposed to be here, that I was a mistake already.
Wow. So you were dealing with some of the same things that we hear each and every day now in 2018. You were a teenager with a disability. You were being bullied. You were being talked about. They were calling you out your name. That seems eerily similar to some of the things we hear our kids dealing with now in 2018, correct?
Yes.
So how did you deal with it back then? And then what would you say to the kids that are dealing with that same type of bullying and name calling and just pretty much being disenfranchised and treated less than? What would you say to them today?
Well, the only escape that I had at that time, because by then I didn't really understand. As a child, you don't want to take away your life. As a child, we are always hopeful. So the escape that I had, my parents had been taking me to church, and I knew somehow that there were stories in the Bible about people who were getting healed. And so I wrote a letter, and at that time I used to watch Oprah Winfrey a lot, and my dad would not allow us to watch TV just for the sake of it. So he wanted us to watch educational stuff. We never watched cartoon or something like that because he said, this one does not even teach you anything. So I asked Dad, can I watch Oprah? I didn't know how I got to know her, but I just found myself. And Dad said, yes, you can watch that one because it was educative. So I really liked what she was doing. And at that age, I said, you know what? I'm going to be like her when I grow up. Because by then, Oprah was like 30 years and I was 13. So I said, when Oprah is going to retire, I need to be the one to step in her shoe because the world needs a lady like her. So I wrote down on a piece of paper and I said, God, if you heal my eyes, I am going to be like Oprah. Help me read so well in school so that I can access a good job and then take myself to hospital because my parents were struggling at that time and I had other 5 siblings. And so I said, I made a covenant. I don't know where I got the idea from, but I just made a covenant, had faith, and started working so hard in school, so much that when the kids were just bullying me, I would go back to my covenant and remind myself that I had a purpose. I had somewhere I wanted to go.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You guys, we are talking to Rister Ratemo. She is the co-author of the book, Live Your Best Life, You Only Get One. This is a beautiful cover. She is on the back of this book along with 10 other co-authors in the book, of which your boy, Mr. Unstoppable, is one of them. But she is really, her story talks about depression and it talks about attempted suicide, but it talks about overcoming and learning to live your best life. And at the end of the show, we'll give you an opportunity to get your copy of this book and not only hear about her story, but to hear about my story as well. But let's jump back into the conversation. You were 13 at that time that you got the diagnosis, and that's when the bullying started at school. But you said that you're going to start motivating yourself. You're going to watch Oprah. Oprah's going to inspire you. And one day you are going to be Oprah. That's what Rister was saying at 13, right?
Yes.
But that wasn't the end of your trials or tribulations just because you started watching Oprah, was it? No. And that's a lesson for a lot of us. Just because we start moving down a different path, doesn't mean that our life is going to start being rosy and that the world is going to open up and we're going to start having nothing but good luck. Rister went through a lot more things. You went through having a child out of wedlock, yes?
Yeah.
You went through an abusive marriage, yes?
Yeah.
Your husband ended up leaving you for another woman and having a child with another woman while you were still married, right?
Yeah, before I could have a child with him.
Before you could have a child with him, your husband went with somebody else. And then you were in your 3rd year of college by the time you had your first child, right?
Yeah. And
then,
the guy left me to get married in a church wedding to another lady.
Wow. And then I'm glad you said church wedding, because as soon as you had your child, then your church left you as well, right?
Yeah, my church excommunicated me, and they wouldn't dedicate my child in church for prayers, because in our language they have a specific name they call those children who are born out of wedlock, and they call them something that has been brought. In my language, they're called something that has been brought along. So they said, this child has been brought along and we cannot take him to the face of God. He's like a shame to the Christian fraternity.
Wow. So now how did that feel that you had been turned away by the person that you were in a relationship with, and then you had also been turned away by the church that you were in relationship. How did that make you feel?
Well, I went into deep depression, and but now this time, because my son was in the picture, I just kept looking at him and so innocent, and I just prayed for him myself. I just took him in my room and I dedicated him before God myself. And that gave me a reason. I said, I've dedicated him before God, so I have to be strong enough to live for him. So I postponed my suicide. I said, let me just hold on until maybe he finished to breastfeed. And then when he can be on his own, then I can maybe do it. But when my son kept growing, he kept giving me hope for tomorrow.
Wow. So when was it in your life that you considered suicide, Rister?
Well, when I was in high school, usually, teenagers in high school are so crude. They really didn't understand me. I just come from the village and I managed to go to the best national school for girls in my country. It was the best school. Before it was called the European Girls, where the European people used to take their children when they colonized Kenya. But then later it was called the Kenya High School. So the best of the girls, like the most brilliant girls, went to that school. So when I went there and I just come from the village, my English was flat. I couldn't hear what they were saying. My confidence was flat. And of course my grooming, because I've just come from the village. So they made fun of me. And, sometimes the meals in school were better than the meals at home. So I would eat, and then there's a specific girl who made a song about my eating. And so when my eyes were also weak, I couldn't see them very well. So when they talk to me, because I don't see their lips, I don't see them, I couldn't hear them. So they called me Kazikwisha. In my language, it means you have been finished. They gave me a character. In Kenya, we read some books. There's a character we were reading about who was called Kazikwisha. Their job is finished. They were very poor, very lonely, and that is the name they used to call me.
Wow. Called you finished, huh?
Yeah, so then I had a story in school that there's somebody who drowned in the swimming pool and died. So then I started saying maybe I should go to the swimming pool and be like them. Then I'll be another story. So I went to the swimming pool, and when I was just about to throw myself in, I just had a voice asking, okay, if you go, who's going to be that Oprah? And then I said, because I was a Christian, I said, I'll go before my time, and then God will ask me, I don't know you, I don't have a space where I can keep you, because you were supposed to come here 100 years later, but you just come 5 years early. So I don't have space for you, I don't know you. So I said, I don't want to be rejected by God. I'd rather be rejected by human beings, but let me just hold on. Maybe when I go, God will show me being the Oprah. He will show my son maybe graduating from high school and I'm attending. Maybe he's going to show me the cars or the houses that I was supposed to build for my parents. And then when I say, God, forgive me, let me go back, he will tell me, no, it is now finished. Once you died, that is the end of you. So that is the conversation I had at the corner of the swimming pool. And I said, I'm going to be strong. And I went back to class.
I love it. We're talking to Rister Ratemo via the phone. She's telling us her unstoppable story about overcoming depression and overcoming suicide. And she just told us the powerful story, a defining moment in her life where she was just about to throw her life away, literally into the swimming pool, so that she could no longer have to deal with the bullying, no longer have to deal with the name calling, no longer have to be considered finished, but actually finished. But then she had a voice, a small voice inside of her that told her, well, what if you do this? What if you end your life today? What if you give up before your time? I tell you, there's probably somebody watching this live or watching this in the replay that has had that what if conversation. What if I swallow these pills? What if I let the chair go and hang myself? What if I jump into the ocean but never hold my breath? Think about all the things the world would lose out if you succumb to depression, if you succumb to the anxiety, if you succumb to the trials and tribulations that life has placed in your life. I love how you quote different authors and scholars in the book. And one of the things that you said, let me find it, is that your life is not, I'm trying to look for it, and I where is it? I'm going to find it. Life is not happening to you. Life is happening for you. Too many of us, Rister, you know what I'm talking about. And you guys, if you're honest, you know what I'm talking about in the Unstoppable Stories land. Many of us stop at the point thinking that life is happening to us. Many of us stop at the point thinking that, woe is me. Why, God, are you doing this to me? And we said a couple of shows ago when we were talking about with another guest that the question should not be why. The question should be, why not me? Life is not happening to you. Life is happening for you. When you wrote that in the book, Rister, what were you trying to convey when you said that statement?
Yeah, most of the questions that we normally ask is, why me? What have I done? And I came to learn later that life is like a sweet, a piece of sweet. Normally when we buy the sweets, they are wrapped. First, you'll find the big wrap, and then you'll find the small wrap in those sweets. So those are the kinds, you have to have a huge kind of trouble to overcome. Then once you overcome it, then you have a small kind of a trouble to overcome. Then you have to unwrap the sweet and then eat it. That is when you're going to test the sweetness of it. So I came to learn later that trials and tribulations are there for us to access the sweetness of life. If I didn't get, I call my troubles and tribulations right now as gifts. If I didn't really get the gift of being blind, if I didn't get the gift of being bullied, if I didn't get the gift of being a single mother, I wouldn't have gotten to America. I wouldn't have started feeding street children, because when I walk the streets, I normally look at people with eyes of love, because I look at them and say, what if they're struggling right now the way I used to struggle? I like to smile wherever I go. I like to smile in my photos, so that when people are scrolling on Facebook and they're going through depression and they come across my photo, they see that smile, and that smile sends some hope to them. So wherever strange I meet, I just give them a smile, because I know I really needed it at some point in my life. And so whatever life was happening was not happening to me, but it was happening for me to get the courage and the story to tell, and for me to be a voice of those people who just die in isolation, and to let people know that do not let the enemy isolate you, because if he can manage to isolate you, then he will assassinate you. Because the only way people commit suicide is they go by themselves. They isolate themselves and they refuse to share. So I said, I'm going to put down my shame, and I'm just going to stand up and I'm going to share my story, so that other women who are going through the same, other children who are going through the same, know that it is not shameful anymore to come out and air your voice.
Well, I am so happy that you have decided to share your story. You also say in the book that as gold is refined by fire, humans are sharpened by trials and tribulations. And that seems to be your story. That seems to be, no matter what you went through, instead of giving up, you just kept sharpening your iron. You just kept sharpening your knife. You just kept moving forward with that vision of one day being the next Oprah and telling your story. And I love how your story, especially the story regarding your eyesight, I love how you said, I was once blind, but 18 years later, now you see. And over those 18 years, God was preparing you for this moment. God was preparing you so that you could see this moment clearly, not cloudy, not foggy, not with any illusions of what was going around you. You are firmly entrenched in your purpose right now, sharing your story, and thank God that you can see clearly who you're talking to and what you're talking about. How does that feel to know that you've made that complete 360 and now you're walking in your purpose?
It feels liberating, and it feels like, now I can prove to the world that it's true, that trials are not there to kill you, that pain is not there to kill you, that when there's no pain, there's no gain. When I read the story of Tony Robbins, who is the most significant motivator, and Les Brown, they have gone through immense pain as well. So I said, for us, some of us who have to be extraordinary, we have to be given immense pain. You can't just expect a small pain if you want to be extraordinary. So I said, because I prayed to be an Oprah, then I had to prove to God that I could handle immense pain. And so when the pain is immense, my mentor, Hal Herald, who is an author of The Miracle Morning, he says, the greater the challenges, the sweeter the victory. And so I feel that I'm now ready to crown myself. I'm ready for the world to crown me. And yes, enjoy the victory and be the voice and just save that one more soul and let them know that, there's hope. There's hope after the pain.
I love it. I love it. We're talking to Rister Ratemo. She is the co-author of the book, Live Your Best Life. You only get one, out on bookstores right now. And you can get your copy by going to my site, which is www.unstoppablecoaching.com/store. I'm going to go ahead and put that on the screen so you guys can see that. But Rister, tell them anything more about your two chapters. Your first chapter is called Lost, and your second chapter is called Found. What made you pick those two titles for the chapter?
Well, one of my greatest inspiration is Sarah Dex, because my story and her story are just the same. And it's really amazing that maybe there's also somebody who is living my life at 13 right now, because Sarah Jakes got her child when she was 13 years old in America. And at that time, the father, T.D. Jakes, had been voted as the best gospel preacher in the world. So you can imagine having two parallels. And, sometimes we get judgmental, So it was really tough for her, and she tried to find herself. And she went and started working in a nightclub. And the irony is that when she went to the nightclub, the first person that she saw was a church person, So we came out and we were discovering that, these people that judge us so harshly, they have hidden secrets as adults, yet they really want to judge us. So at that moment, I discovered that, I was so lost because of the judgment that had been passed on me. And I kept getting lost because of the law of attraction kept sending me negative things. But then when I had a house girl who introduced me to a less judgmental church. And those pastors really prayed for me on a genuine level. And that is when my faith was uplifted, and I found myself, I'm worthy, very beautiful, I deserve the best, and all that stuff. So then that is how I started finding myself and knowing that for real, I started doing affirmations, visualizations. I started doing the Miracle Morning. And time after time, I started now attracting positive things to my life, positive people who are helpful. And that is how I've been here, and I was able to find myself. And then I started to revive the passion that I had of being an opera. I started writing music, writing my book, and also I was selected to represent the Miracle Morning movie, which is a documentary that is about to be released out this year.
Fascinating. I love this story. I love how you are so encouraging. I love how, like you said, you guys, I got to show it to you real quick. I know you're not going to be able to see it very well, but there she is live and in person. She is actually talking. Hit them with that big smile as big as you can, Rister. Yeah, give them that laugh so they can hear you.
Hi guys, I love all of you. I love you guys. Don't lose hope.
Yes. So I love your passion. I love how you, despite everything you've been through, you continue to press forward. You continue to move forward. You are really living what Les Brown said, that if you're going to fall, fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. Each and everything you've gone through, you've gotten up. You've gotten your degree, and now you've come 360. You've gotten your full sight back. You now have 2 children, and you have your soulmate. Is that correct? Is that what that's what the book says?
Yes. I found a perfect match for myself and somebody who loved me totally.
Absolutely fabulous. So there's a message for somebody, that everything that you thought was lost, if you just keep pushing forward, and if you don't stop, if you keep being unstoppable, everything that you once thought was lost can be found. But in the couple of minutes,
I just want to add on that.
Sure.
And say that sometimes when you feel that you are losing it, just let it go, because sometimes you have to lose the good in order to get the best.
Wow. I love it. I love it. Sometimes you have to let go of the good in order to get the best. I love it. So in the last couple of minutes that we have with us, let's talk about some key takeaways that our audience can walk away with now through your journey, through your experience of depression and attempted suicide. The one thing you said is you should focus on 3 key possessions that are more important than material wealth. Why don't you tell us what those 3 things are?
Those 3 things are faith, hope, and love.
And why are they so important to focus on instead of material wealth?
Well, the definition of faith is having visionary eyes that are eyes of our mind. And Zig Ziglar said that if your mind can see it, then your hands can hold it. So if you keep having the faith, it just in due time, it will come to pass and you'll have it. So it is really more important than using any other bad means to get it right now. But if you have faith and you keep pressing forward, you'll get it at the right time and it will never leave you. And hope is knowing that tomorrow is going to bring better. It is not easy, but it always gets better. And for love, if you love yourself and you're facing this person who's really pushing you, maybe you're in a bad relationship, you'll have to love yourself so much that when this person is causing you so much pain, you will let them go instead of allowing them to push you to the corner and making you take away your own life.
I love it. I love it. So focus on that love, hope, and faith when you think all else is gone, when you feel like the trials and the tribulations are too much, then just have that faith, which is the eyes of your mind. Have that hope, which comes from your heart, and recognize that love, the love of yourself and the love of God, is going to pull you through all those trials and tribulations. But now you also say, tip number 2 is that you need to invest in yourself. Talk to us about investing in yourself, Rister.
Yeah, well, I read a quote of another author who said that the best possession you can ever have is owning your own life. We were born and we found ourselves here. And everybody in the whole world, even a street child, was once a baby at day 1. And the whole world was celebrating and saying, wow, they're so cute, they're angels. What happens between day 1 and by the time they're dying? Where did the angel go? The the society then starts to take away from that angel. So instead, you have to own yourself and know who you are, that you are still the angel. You have to invest in yourself, do personal development programs so that you can be very strong. When the trials come, you still keep reminding you that you are the child of God, that God gave you the life and He alone is supposed to be taking it away. So escape from pain should not be suicide. It should be, it's like we have been created just as the phones we are using. When your phone has a problem, you take it to the manufacturer and they tell you, we have a guarantee, leave it with us, we are going to sort it out. And then they will give it back to you and it will continue working. But what if your phone stops working and you put it in water thinking that that water is going to make it work? What will happen? It's going to blow up. And so we go through life, we go through pain. Instead of taking our life to our manufacturer, we take it to alcohol, we take it to, depression and all these things. But we end up short-circuiting ourselves. So the best way and the best person who can handle that is our Creator. So if you invest in yourself, you'll be strong enough and you have a little strength left to go and take yourself. The best or the beauty about human beings is that you don't really need help for somebody to take you to God. He has given us a direct contact. But a phone, unless you carry it and take it to the manufacturer, it's going to be helpless and nobody's going to make it. But as human beings, we have direct access to God. So you can take yourself through prayer, through meditation, through affirmations, visualizations, and you will be able to develop your mind and be strong enough and you will conquer.
And I love that. I want to add on to that. By investing in yourself, recognize that you don't have to do it alone. She talked about the manufacturer, and the manufacturer, I call him God. Whoever you call him, that's up to you. But the manufacturer, God, has put technicians, listen to me, y'all. He has put service technicians in your path to help you when you are broken, to help you when you are not functioning properly, to help you when you are lost, looking to be found. Many of us think that, well, I can't have a talk with Jesus. I've been through too much. I've done too much wrong. He's not going to listen to me. Well, guess what? He's already put people in your path whose purpose in life was to be there for you during this moment. And all you've got to do is, like Rister said, invest in yourself and recognize that there are people that are willing to invest in you so that you can get to where you need to be as well. I love it. I love it. And we're coming up on the end of the show. So let's talk about the last thing, which you already really kind of said it. To serve is to reign. Serve God and humanity. That brings it back full circle to you, Rister, because after everything you've been through, to see what you're doing today, each and every day in what I call your ministry, is really serving God and humanity as well. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So what do you mean?
It's true, because I read also a quote somewhere that purpose outweighs career. Purpose outweighs career. That's why when people do very well in career, but maybe that career was not along their purpose, they still feel empty, and that's why we see even celebrities taking away their own life, because at the end of it all, they still feel empty because the purpose has not been fully lived. So we need to, there's nothing that liberates like going outside there and serving somebody, giving food to a homeless person who can never repay you. The best way that you can serve is to help somebody who is in need, knowing that that person can never repay you. The Bible says that when you're helping the needy, you are lending to God. Now, let me tell you the principle on how God operates. When you lend to God, He gives you blessings. And the blessings of God work like this. They are never subtracted and they are never added. they always come in multiples. And when they come in multiples, they don't just come to you. He says that I will bless those who bless you. So, and then he says, I will bless you until your fourth generation. So that is how God works. So just go out there. God has given us different callings. Go do your stuff and God will do his part.
Wow, that's some powerful stuff. I hope you guys are getting this live, and I hope you are taking notes, because note takers are not just money makers. Note takers are going to be better servants to others. If you can share this information with somebody else, you have the ability to be the change agent. You have the ability to not only change somebody's life, you may actually save somebody's life. You may save them from a life of depression, and you may save them from committing suicide. Well, Rister, I appreciate you for jumping on at the last minute, and I appreciate you for you staying strong even despite the technical difficulties. How about you tell them how they can get in contact with you if they want to have a closer relationship, maybe a deeper dialogue with you about depression and about suicide and about investing in yourself and serving God and humanity? What's the best way they can get in contact with you?
All right. My name's on Facebook. Is Rister Blessed Mom. My music is on YouTube. And if you're looking for me on YouTube, you type Rister Ratemo. On Instagram, I'm called Blessed Trev.
And how about an email address? What's the best email address if they want to email you?
My email is BOSYRATESH bosiratesh@gmail.com.
Cool. And we're going to put all that information in the comments so that you can go back and get that information and reach out to Rister. Rister, it was a pleasure talking to you. I'm so glad that I was able to get my co-author, one of the co-authors in the book, Live Your Best Life. You only get one on the show to talk about this book. If you like her story, then you're going to love the rest of these stories. 10 different authors who are really telling their story, sharing their story about living their best life. Because just like Rister, who was at that defining moment where she could have ended her life, she recognized that you only get one. And so she decided that she wasn't going to give up her life, but she was going to live her best life. Thank you, Rister. I appreciate you so much for being on the show. I want you to be blessed, and we're going to work out these technical difficulties. So anytime you want to be on the show, you are more than welcome to come back. Gail Fripp.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Gail Fripp said, thank you so much for being on the show. She said that what you said, you are so powerful. She said, thank you, Terrance. So, well, thank you, Gail, for tuning in. Thank you, all of you guys, for tuning in. Even though we were a little bit technically challenged, the name of the show is Unstoppable Stories. And I never stop until I can share an unstoppable story with you. So as we leave this show tonight, I want you to understand that suicide does not have to be the answer. There is so much more to you than your trials and your tribulations. And we want you to not focus on what's happening to you. We want you to think about what's happening for you. He's preparing you for something greater than these trials and these tribulations. You know, I think about food all the time. I love to eat, but I think about the process of food. You know, when you get the ingredients, they're raw. When you get the ingredients, they don't do anything by themselves. They've got to go through a process. They've got to go through preparation. Sometimes they've got to be beat up. Sometimes they've got to be cut up. Sometimes they've got to be placed in a closed case. Sometimes they've got to be put on top of fire. But in all that negative stuff that we think of that it's going through is actually the process that's preparing them for something greater. It's not what's happening to them in the fire. It's not what's happening to them in the box. It's not what's happening to them as they're being cut up. It's not what's happening to them as they're being beat up that makes the meal. It's what's happening for them at the end that makes it a delicious delicacy. So recognize when you're going through, when you're being beat up, cut up, abused, battered, talked about, recognize that it's not about what you're going through, it's what you're being prepared for. And recognize that if you don't give up, if you don't give in, if you don't stop, but you be unstoppable, then your best life is yet to come. And just like Rister and just like ourselves, you are going to be able to live your best life. I hope this encourages somebody that was on the tip, was at that point of no return. I hope you heard something from Rister tonight that lets you think, what if? What if I do this? What is somebody else going to lose out if I decide to give up? I hope we encourage you on this show. And as always, I hope you will return each and every Tuesday for the Unstoppable Story Show with Terrance Leftridge, where we talk to ordinary people with unstoppable stories. Go on over to unstoppablecoaching.com/store. Get your copy of the book, Live Your Best Life with Rister Ratemo and yours truly, Mr. Unstoppable. And as always, wherever you are in the world today, don't just make it a great day. Make it an unstoppable day. Take care. Thank you, Rister.